some days are better than others, and you pity party whatever's going on in your life, whether it's me losing the deal of my career or having other struggles. It's like some days you might not realize that that's a forming moment in your life, but you look back on your life and you look at the hardships and the great things, and those are the things that make you who you are.
Welcome to the Greatness Ignited podcast, where we have conversations about the greatness of others so that you can recognize the greatness in you. My name is Barry Overton, and I have been studying greatness for the last 7 years, and it is taking my career to new heights. And now me and a few of the successful people that I have had the honor of interviewing are coming together to ignite your greatness and light the fire within.
All right, welcome to season 2, another episode of the Greatness Ignited podcast, where we are having conversations with people about the greatness in them so that you, as the viewer, can recognize the greatness in you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited about this next guest that we have on because she is someone, while I'm taller than she is, I look up to her. While I'm older than she is, I look up to her because she is the definition of a hero, the definition of a warrior. And let me tell you a little bit about her. So at the age of 15, she was a professional skier. She spent 9 years or so in that particular area. She also went through 9 ACL surgeries through that time, but continued to persevere and push through. She is a model. She's been a model with the Wilhelmina Agency, an international modeling agency. And now she is one of the top producing real estate agents in the nation. In the top 1% in Colorado, the top 15% in the nation, doing some amazing things. And she's only 31 years old, ladies and gentlemen. But also, she is suffering from a debilitating disease right now. And I say suffering, I should say she is persevering. She is pushing through a debilitating disease that will not stop her, that will not keep her from doing amazing, successful things. That's why she's such an inspiration to me. She's going to be an inspiration to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Athena Brownson.
That was such an introduction. I don't even know how to follow that.
You just be you. You're following it. I mean, it's just amazing to see what you've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. I know we were talking before we went on that I remember seeing your 28th birthday announcement on Facebook, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
All the things that she's done, and she's only 28. So it's
known each other for a while.
So yeah, it's definitely a treat to have you on here as we've talked over the last couple of weeks.
Honored.
This is an important message that we're getting out because what you are experiencing and how you're experiencing it is such an inspiring story that I couldn't just keep it to myself. See, I have the benefit of seeing you on Facebook and being able to know what you're going through and know the person that you are. I said, no, many more people need to hear this story and know what you're experiencing. And we're going to get into that over the next 45 minutes to an hour that we're here. But what I want to do is let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about Athena in childhood and what was your life like growing up?
Man, first of all, thank you. It's an honor to be able to be here talking with one of my favorite humans ever. You were an inspiration to so many. So very honored to have the opportunity to tell a little bit about my story and my life and where it all started was, I grew up in Breckenridge. So for those of you who don't know, it's a little mountain town in Colorado. I was born in Denver, raised in Breckenridge, and my dad was a professional skier. My mom was a artist. As they kind of developed, he slowly stopped skiing professionally. They still ski like more than anyone I've ever met in my whole life. They're incredible. And he is a residential developer in Breckenridge. And my mom, being the artist that she was, started doing the interior design for his projects. So they really became an unexpected, perfect duo for real estate. And growing up, I loved skiing. I was a gymnast, and then, really got serious about skiing, I think at 9. And by serious, I mean, like, I had to quit every other sport. And it was like, this is what you're going to focus on. And your coach, my coaches were hardcore. I look back and I attribute most of my success in business to how I was taught how to be a professional athlete. And I look back and I laugh because I remember thinking, I never want to be a real estate broker. There's more real estate shops in Breckenridge than t-shirt shops. And it's, I had a cliche in my mind. Even though I was raised in development. I mean, I was walking job sites from the time I could walk. I have so many memories of walking dozens of homes and learning the construction process and development, helping my mom pick different granites.
Wow.
Give her my opinion on, what tile they should use where. So I grew up in it, and I never even knew that it would lead me here. And it did, and I love it. Yeah. But my childhood was really formed by skiing. I was on snow as much as I possibly could be.
And that led you into, at the age of 15, obviously you were skiing. I think at 2 years old, you started skiing, and eventually going professional at the age of 15.
I did, yeah. So I when you're a skier, you become professional when you have sponsors that are paying you. You're getting free gear. They're paying for your travel. So I remember being in Vermont, and I was at the Vermont Open, and I got my first sponsorship, and it was electric goggles. And then quickly it snowballed into like Spider clothing, and then it became Dina Star skis. And I had all of these incredible sponsors that I never would have dreamed of, that allowed me the opportunity to, from a very young age, 15, travel the world. I skied 10 months out of the year. So we did United States up until about January, February, and then we'd slowly start making our way up to Canada and do Whistler for the spring skiing on the glacier. And then we'd head to South America because it was winter there. Wow. So, I got to see some incredible things and meet incredible people from a very young age. And I look back and I just realized how thankful I am for that. And like you said, it came with its fair share of injuries, and to me it was just part of it. It didn't even faze me. It's like, you blow a knee, okay, you do A, B, C, and D, you recover, you get back on snow. And I broke 2 ankles, blew 9 knees, have had 2 neck surgeries. I broke my neck skiing. So yeah, but it didn't fade. It was part of it. I knew what I signed up for, and I wouldn't change it for anything. That says something.
Well, it definitely says that the wiring is different. But again, Michael Jordan, the wiring is different. Kobe Bryant, the wiring is different. And that's why it's important for me to bring people like you on, because again, we can change our wiring if we're not wired that way. So, and I think that, again, that's a powerful message of, you were so passionate about this that you said, hey, this is a part of the industry. This is a part of what I'm going to deal with injury and things of that nature. And it doesn't mean I quit. It doesn't mean that I give up. And I know people in business that realize that there are things that are part of the industry, but when it gets painful, not to a broken neck painful, a lot less than that, but they give up. So again, I seriously doubt there's any quit in you.
I don't think so either. I work almost like a psychopath, but I think that's served me well. Honestly, it's, I get passionate about something. Just like, I think it's funny because, my dad used to say, I would always say, oh, I'm not going to be like you guys. Like, and he would say, in 10 years, you're going to be just like your parents, which I think is like a Frank Zappa song. I was raised on rock and roll, but I look at myself now and the way I conduct myself, and I'm my parents. My dad is one of the hardest working humans I've ever met. He now is a professional car racer, and he's 71. He's beating 21-year-olds, like,
Wow.
And my mom is just the most kind, compassionate, incredible artist, designer. And I look at them and I'm like, actually, yeah, I kind of am you guys now. And I'm grateful because they're awesome.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like they've been they put a great impression on you and an influence. And again, I'm sure that they're super proud of you. Are you only child, or do you have any siblings?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
My mom had me at 43, and so I'm an only child, and they've been my biggest support system, and we'll get into that, but
yeah,
they are incredible, and as well as my coaches. I mean, I look back at like hiking mountains in blizzards, and if you didn't do something right, it was like, you don't get to take the chairlift, you're going to hike up the mountain. And I think about things like that. That's kind of grit, the word grit is coming to mind. And I really think that, you don't gain grit until you're put in situations that you have to.
Yeah.
And you have to just bite down and push through and hustle through. And honestly, I think where I'm at now in life, it's grit. You got to.
Yeah. And before we move beyond the childhood, I always like to ask this question, and I think you've shared some of it already, but I always like to ask my guests, as a child, what was your biggest dream that you dreamed about?
I was preparing for this, and I saw that, and it's so funny because as a child, I changed my dreams like all the time. Yeah. First, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon because I had broken my leg and they healed me. Yeah. And then I wanted to be a professional skier, and I thought that I could do that for the rest of my life. Well, anyone that knows professional skiing knows that it's a short-lived career just because of the injuries. And after that, I wanted to be an interior designer. I did that. I was bored. So it was constantly evolving. And I think that, being in real estate, it's the perfect fit because it allows me to do something different and play so many different roles. Yeah. And that's what makes my wheels spin. So even from a young age, it was never one thing. I wanted to do everything, and it would consistently evolve. And not much has changed there, but I'm able to do quite a bit now, which is great.
And it reminds me a lot in regards to my dreams, because when people ask me that, I always tell them I wanted to be Superman. That was my biggest dream. And then, like you, it changed because something happened along the way. Someone told me, well, Superman's not real. You can't be Superman. So then I wanted to play in the NFL, and I wanted to win Super Bowls and go to Pro Bowls and be a Hall of Famer. So when I dreamed big. Yeah. And then, I suffered some injuries, and I quit on that dream of football because of injuries. But just like you, I always had to have another dream. And it came back to going into law enforcement, being a police officer. And when I look back on my career, I was like, man, that's kind of Superman, that I was able to.
Superman. You were a superhero, Barry.
But the thing is I continue to dream. I think we are cut from the same cloth with that, because as kids, it's very easy to dream and dream big. But when reality starts hitting you as you become a teen, a young adult, most people stop dreaming. But people like yourself, people like me, we continue to dream. And that's the thing right now, that I constantly dream big. And when I was doing my research on you, I went to your LinkedIn page, and I'm trying to find it here. Where was it at? But I had some words on there, and I don't know if this is from Compass or if this is from you, but I think these words fit you. The very first word up there was dream big. And I was like, yep, I know she does that. Move fast. Yep, that's her. And then I love this one. This was probably my favorite one on there because we don't do this enough, but collaborate without ego.
Yeah.
We're both in real estate.
There are Compass mottos, and it's
okay.
why I chose the company, because that's literally my, my moral compass, my character, what I aim to be in a as my character to a T. But collaborate without ego. Like, let's get things done together.
Yeah.
Let's dream big together. Let's move fast together. I don't feel like I'm moving very fast right now, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, and there's another number 8 on there is also you. Bounce back with passion.
Amen.
Yeah. So
I didn't even think about that, honestly. Wow. Yeah.
So I love the fact that I saw that. And like I said, I saw the Compass logo down there, and I was like, I don't know if this is her or if it's Compass.
That's Robert Refkin. I'll give him the credit.
But you're right. It resonates. So much of it resonates with who you are as a person. So that is awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I remember, talking about dreaming big. When you're skiing, you don't really get an opportunity to just try a new trick, or it's kind of your first time trying something is on snow going off of a 50-90 foot jump. Wow. You can maybe do it on a trampoline, but my coach said to me, and this will stay in my head, and I remember this, like, we talk about I talk about flow moments a lot, and this was a flow moment, and he said, Athena, close your eyes and envision yourself on the course. I was in Switzerland, and I was in the finals for the European Open, and I wanted to try a trick I had never done before. And he said, close your eyes, imagine yourself on this course, and see yourself doing that trick and landing it with no issues. Like, and if I could, and I knew in skiing, if I could visualize myself landing something, that I could do it in real life. Wow. And a lot of times I find myself going back to that, if I think I can't do something, or if something's really challenging, I have to remind myself to paint the picture that I want to be my life, that I want to land, the trick that I want to land, the deal I want to close, the obstacle I want to hurdle over. Yeah. And he taught me, not knowing that it would stick with me for the rest of my life, that if I could see myself landing something, that I could do it. And I remember that run, and it was flow state. It was just, I put my earphones on, everything just went perfectly. Like, I landed the trick, I beat my hero at that time, rest in peace. And I think about that all the time. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it reminds me of,
because I was like, I beat Sarah Burke. She was my coach and my hero.
Wow.
And she passed, but it was such a big moment, and she celebrated so much. So I was like, this is the best.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The power of visualization and what we envision, we become. And, Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich, conceive it, believe it, achieve it. And it works. It works. I mean, you think about when it can work on doing a ski trick, it can work in, your business, or your relationships, whatever the case may be. But we have to first be willing to conceive it, and then deeply believe in it with conviction. So you're so right.
Have you done the ninja training?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, whether in business, there repetition of instilling your goals in you. So whether it's writing your goal down 25 times a day and just you literally force it into your brain that it is a reality, even though it hasn't happened yet. And I think that's the beauty in visualization, is that you can visualize and train yourself into getting through anything and to obtaining any reality. But it takes work, and it's not just going to come. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. And of course, I do too sometimes. It's like, how am I supposed to do this? But you have to kind of go back to the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of times where people get hung up, is because there's too much thought in, I can't do this, or getting stuck in the how and not spending more time in the why and the passion of it. And the how, a lot of times, will just reveal itself to you. So, and that sounds like, again, early on, and it's funny because a lot of times we take on personal development and mindset and things of that nature without even realizing it. But you had a coach that was telling you, personal development tips.
I had no idea. It's cool to look back on, for sure. And, you and I talk about the pieces that you look back on in your life that really form you into who you are. And you don't realize it when it's happening, but moments like that, that's something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Yeah. And that was a good moment. But the rehab of knees and neck were also preparing me for something else. And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, we might not understand whatever good or bad is happening in our lives, but understanding that it all weaves together into a bigger picture. And something I'm reading, or I'm listening to Green Lights right now by Matthew McConaughey, and it's an incredible book, and I would highly recommend it. Yeah. And he says, when you think about your life, what would the billboard be? What do you want your headline to say? And then work backwards, like at not necessarily the end of your life, but in your future, what do you want your headline to say? What do you want the billboard to be? Yeah. And then act as if that's your life. And I think that really stuck to heart. And it's if you live every day towards your goal like that, it's just another means of visualization.
Yeah. And it's so funny you mentioned that, because Stephen King, author, someone asked him, how do you go about writing your books and writing them the way that you do? And he said, I write the last chapter first. So I know where I want to end up. It becomes easier to write the book. And that's, again, if we write the last chapter of our lives first, then we know where the goal is. We know all the things that we need to do, because this is where the destination is. And the funny thing is, I didn't know that, but before I wrote my book, but the last chapter of my book is called The Last Chapter. And it's about legacy. It's about what we leave behind. Yeah. Because again, when we start with thinking, when it's all said and done, and they're at my funeral and they're saying my obituary and what's on my gravestone, what do I want them to say about me?
Yeah. How do we want to be remembered?
Yeah, exactly. It puts you in a whole different perspective of how you live your life.
Yeah. And it's powerful. When you think of mortality and you think of legacy, like, these are big, powerful words. And I think if you act, with intention based on those words, when it means so much more, then you're acting so much bigger than you would otherwise. Because it's like, I have a legacy that I have to leave. Yeah. I have, you realize that you don't live forever. I mean, not yet. They might figure it out one day, but there is an expiration date. And how do you want to be remembered? What do you want to leave? What do you want to accomplish? How can you make it every day that you're making yourself one step closer to leaving that legacy for your children, or, writing 5 books, or whatever, being Superman. Like, how am I living each day, even though every day is not going to be good? But what are my go-tos so that I'm at least stepping towards my goals?
There's greatness within you. We've all heard those words before, but do we truly believe it? I can tell you, it took me about 3 years of studying greatness before I realized there truly is greatness inside of me. And I wrote a book called Ignite Your Greatness that proves the theory that we all have greatness within us. And I take it a step further. Once I prove it to you, I tell you exactly how to ignite the fire within you and take your life to new heights. Get your copy of Ignite Your Greatness at igniteyourgreatness.com. Also available on Amazon.
What I want to do is I'm going to shift gears and start. We're going to talk about your entrance into the real estate world, and then the progress that you've had. How long have you been in real estate now?
I just hit the beginning of my 8-year mark. So I got licensed June 4th, 8 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations to you. And it has been an amazing journey, but you know, I'm speaking from what I've been able to see. And a lot of times, just like, you know, people always tell me, you know, honestly, I think a lot of times what people see on social media, they think real estate is easy.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
But I'm sure that you can share some stories of those first beginning years and building to where you're at now.
Yeah. So I was an interior designer at the time, and I love interior design. I'm so grateful that I have that background and that knowledge, but it wasn't the right fit for me. And I was sitting with one of my girlfriends at dinner, Charlotte Durham now. She's just got married, so I have to remember her new last name. And she is the most powerful, incredible woman broker in the universe. She's now living in Bozeman, Montana, sells probably over 40 million a year. She's incredible. And she said, I think you'd be really good at real estate. Like, why don't you give it a try? And I was like, what? I have no. And she's like, just sit down with the owner of our company, John Stegner, who you and I know very well. Yeah. See what you think. Talk to him. And I sat down with John at an Irish pub the next couple days after that. And he's the most charismatic, good human being that you could ever come across. Yeah. And he'll tell you the good and the bad of everything. Like, he's not there to fool anyone. But I knew immediately that I wanted to be around his energy. I wanted to do what he was doing because it felt light. It felt good. Yeah. So I quit my job the next day and I got my real estate license. And I knew that I had to pass the test immediately because I was leaving for 3-4 months in Uganda on June 5th. So I had to pass the test on June 4th. So first time, passed the test, left, went to Uganda for 4 months, came back and started real estate. And I remember one day, you know, I was packing up my bag at like 4. New Era was maybe only 10 people at the time. It was just a small growing brokerage. I think now that's over 60 for perspective. And I was packing up my bag and Charlotte looks at me and she's like, you just got your license. You should be here long before anyone else gets here and stay long before anyone leaves or long after anyone leaves. Mm-hmm. And she's like, if there's always something to learn, there's always someone to connect with. There's always something you need to be doing. And you need to be out working every agent that's in here because they're successful because of their hard work. Yeah. And that stuck in my head forever because, you know, you see real estate, you hear real estate in Denver's booming, and it's like, oh, I'll just get my license and deals will fall in my lap. Yeah. No, we work 15 hours a day. Like, you know, it never ends, but it's something that we love. So it makes those, it makes the hard, long days worth it. It makes the disappointments when your client doesn't win an offer or when a deal falls through, or, 100 things could go wrong during a real estate transaction. And you can never count on getting a paycheck until you're at the closing table. And then even still things could go wrong. Yeah. So, I had to learn that if I wanted to be successful at this, that I needed to outwork everyone around me. And I think that's when my discipline from skiing that I didn't ever realize was going to be, something that formed me into the woman I am today. That's where it came in. And it suddenly became something that I knew regiment, I knew discipline, and I wasn't afraid of hard work. And I haven't stopped since. I don't know if I've slept since either, but whatever. Just kidding.
Yeah. And, and the hard work has definitely paid off, and it's, obvious when, you see the awards that you've received and the success that you've had and the confidence that your clients have in you as you've been able to develop over the last 8 years. And so I think, it's probably been about 4 years since I've known you, and we've been around one another. And so when I met you about 4 years ago, you were you weren't a brand new agent, and you were not operating as a brand new agent at that time. So was that first year, as most agents, it tends to be a struggle. But when did you see, the rockets just fire off, where business was just booming for you?
So I got my first year, I was lucky because John Stegner let me follow him and really just watch everything he did. Mm-hmm. And I think that without a really good mentor, it's very hard to be successful in real estate. And John was an incredible mentor, and I learned so much from being around him all the time. But I think it took until my third year before things really started taking off. Like I was able to get by my first 2 years and do pretty well, which I'm super grateful for, because I think like 80% of realtors quit after their second year or something, because it's hard. You're working off commissions and it's difficult, but I managed to do pretty well. I think I sold like 10 homes a year my first year, maybe 12 the second, and my third year it really started to pick up, and it's just hasn't stopped growing since. And honestly, like I'm a huge supporter of coaching and mentorship, and I think that comes from athletics too. So I pay an arm and a leg of my money to my coach so that he can look at my business overall and tell me where my weak spots are and tell me what I need to work on. And I think that as humans in whatever we're doing, you have to have an objective third party that can look at what you're doing in life and say, this is where you're falling short, whether it's professionally or just as, your character or whatever it is. And this is what you need to work on. And these are the things that I'm going to keep you accountable to. So I've got a coach that if I don't turn my homework in on time, if I don't make my calls, if I don't get things done, I'm fined. Like I literally have to pay a fine. It goes to charity, so it's okay. But it's accountability and having discipline. And for me, my goal now in real estate too is to be able to do what John did for me and be able to mentor agents and help them grow so then they can be total rock stars and be on my team. But what he did for me was a gift that I want to give on in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a little bit like we'll get into that, but it's hard right now, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Mentor.
And I'm not sure if you're talking in regards to Fusion Growth Partners, which we're both.
I do core.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm in level 3 of the core, and I've been in it 2 years. So I'm about to graduate, but I'm not going to leave. But I have a coaching call every other week with huge amounts of homework that I have to turn in. And like, if you're late for a call, you get fined. Wow. If you don't turn in your homework, you get fined.
Yeah.
But they keep me really driven and accountable and disciplined, and I think that's necessary in whatever arena you choose. But I love Fusion as well, and they do, it kind of goes hand in hand. They want you adding a certain amount of meeting a certain amount of new people, and it's the same thing. So it works really well.
Yeah,
I think it's cool that we both work with them.
Yeah. So now, we're fast forwarding. We're 8 years in now, and top 1% in Colorado, top 15% in the nation. So everything is just, sunshine and rainbows, right? No deals ever fall apart or anything like that, right?
Everything's great. I'm fine. It's like that meme where the dog's running out of a burning building and he says, "I'm fine. Everything's fine."
Yeah. and I say that jokingly because I know we were on just before we went on the air. You were telling me about an $8 million deal and how that was going south. And we're going to talk about some personal stuff as well. But the reason I bring that up is just to say that, we see the success that people have, but we got to always realize that there's still struggles, there's still challenges. And you said it best before we went on air of how you learn from those struggles, you grow from those challenges. And that's one of the things, like I said, just seeing your post, I can tell that you're growing and you're taking adversity and turning it around and learning from it.
Yeah. Thank you. And it doesn't always feel like that. And obviously, we all have days where some days are better than others, and you pity party whatever's going on in your life, whether it's me losing the deal of my career or having other struggles. It's like some days you might not realize that that's a forming moment in your life, but you look back on your life and you look at the hardships and the great things, and those are the things that make you who you are. And again, I'm going to go to Matthew McConaughey's book just because I'm obsessed with it right now. And he says, you need to look at life as though you can engineer more green lights. So you look at, hardships, the yellow lights, really horrible things, the red lights, and you learn from them, and you learn how next time you're in a position like that, you can actually understand that it's something good. It's teaching you what you need to know to be the person that you need to be. And you engineer more green lights in your future simply through perspective.
Wow.
And having the perspective that whatever you're going through, it might feel like a red light, but it's actually a green light because it's teaching you something. And whatever it's teaching you, you need it to know. So you should say thank you. And obviously it's very hard to live that way, but I think it's a good reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to shift gears now that you brought that up and talk about one of those red lights in your life that I think it was 4 years ago you were diagnosed with. And if you want to share with our audience, just again, back 4 years and how it's progressed over the last few years.
Totally. So as we've talked about, like I was always a very high performing athlete, and I was at the top of my game, and I blew a knee, I'd rehab it. I broke a neck, I'd rehab it. But actually, the last time I broke my neck, and you can see I've got this scar, but I kept getting sick afterward, really weird GI issues. And my doctor, thank God, I had a doctor that cared and that thought outside the box. And he was like, "You're a young, healthy female. There's no reason you should be getting sick so often just after my neck surgery." So something, my immune system was weak at this point. And he said, "I'm going to test you for Lyme disease." I was like, Lyme disease? Like, we don't have ticks in Colorado. Like, you're crazy. You know, I'd never met anyone with Lyme disease. I knew nothing about it. And sure enough, like 7 of the 10, you know, strains of Lyme, along with 2 of co-infections that are equally, you know, disastrous and evil, like Lyme, I came up positive for. Wow. And it turns out that, you know, the last time I broke my neck, it weakened my immune system just enough that chronic Lyme was able to finally come out. And, you know, I have no memory of being bit by a tick. I've never even seen a tick, but I spent a lot of time in Vermont and Oregon and in very tick-borne areas. And I think something like 30 or 40% of people that get Lyme disease never even remember being bit, but you get it from a tick, and it can be completely debilitating. So what Lyme does, you know, I got this diagnosis and I don't think it hit me because I still felt okay at the time. I was, you know, I had a bad stomach, but I was okay. You know, I was rehabbing from a neck surgery. And I started meeting with different infectious disease doctors and learning more about Lyme. And what I learned was, Lyme is very controversial because insurance doesn't want to cover it. And the reason why is because Lyme will attack whatever you're genetically predisposed to in having weaknesses. So it looks different in everyone. So for some people, it might be rheumatoid arthritis. For some people, it might be psychological, like you can completely lose your mind. For some people, it can be really bad inflammatory responses and nerve problems. That's me. Other people, it can be something that you can take a round of antibiotics and it's gone. But for the most part, chronic Lyme is not curable. You can definitely get it into remission, which is obviously my goal. But for me, Lyme disease is kind of the least of my issues right now. So about a year and a half into knowing I had Lyme and starting to treat it, and treating it is rough no matter what. I mean, if you're killing a virus in your body, it causes what's called a Herxheimer reaction, which means it's a die-off. So everything dying releases toxins and it feels like you have the worst flu of your life. So you're getting treated, it's brutal. But for me, it led to just a domino effect of autoimmune diseases. And I was showing Barry, but it's like, you know, I just got this port put in my chest. And like literally less than a week ago, I've got an 8-inch tube going into my neck and an 8-inch tube straight to my heart.
Wow.
And I had one of those like WTF moments, or an aha moment, or whatever you call it, where I was like, how did I get to this place where, you know, I'm now reliant on plasma transfusions through this port to live?
Yeah.
And I was like, I went from being a professional athlete to, you know, I am in and out of the hospital all the time. And it's hard to find the why there, for sure. And I think that, like I told you before, you know, I don't know that I'll know the why until I get healthier or until I get a little bit farther through this. I do know that I'm learning invaluable, really rough, but invaluable lessons about myself and who I am and my character. But you know, I don't know if I'll know the why. And I think the why is hopefully helping other people like myself, because it's the hardest thing I could ever express. And it's something that it's difficult to even articulate because it's so horrible. But I think, you know, it's been 2.5 years since I felt okay. Like I feel absolutely horrible all the 24/7. Like there's never a moment that I feel good. And I think it's, you know, it's hard for anyone to relate to that. So it sucks. One day it'll I'm visualizing myself being healthy. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
And that's where, I think routines and having your go-tos for how to lift yourself up out of the mud, whatever it is that you're going through in life,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to be there for yourself no matter what. And if you wake up having a bad day, and I have bad days all the time, like some days suck, but I have my go-tos. Like I listen to, like I have the Calm app. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's an app on your phone that you can download. And I just listen, when I was getting the port, I listen to LeBron James every morning on mental toughness. And then, I have my go-tos that are going to make me so that I can find positivity during hard times. And it might be journaling, and it might be listening to amazing podcasts like you, or it might be, calling a friend, whatever it may be. Like you have to have those go-tos. And I also think that I'm insanely blessed to be in real estate, because it is a job that I love passionately. Like I don't say that to be cliche. I say that because I love my job, and I'm so lucky. And because of that, I have something that keeps me getting out of bed every day, and it keeps me motivated, and it keeps me pushing, because my doctors are like, you are an anomaly. Like what? You, like 99% of people in your shoes go on disability and they don't leave bed for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, I would spiral into psychosis like if I was in bed for that long.
Yeah.
So the opportunity to have a job I love that helps people and keeps me driven, I think is the reason that I'm going to get through this. Because of it, mental game is half of it. I think if you don't keep yourself mentally engaged and motivated, you're in a bad place, and your body's not going to do as well. And like I told you, I was having a really rough week. Like I lost some big deals. I'm having a really hard time with a house that I'm developing, in my first one, and I just got this court, and I had to get it adjusted, and it's really uncomfortable. And I'm like, I woke up today and I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I don't think I could put one eyeball open. But I ended up with a podcast on mental toughness. I listened to it. I journaled. Someone once told me to call your journal, like have one for positive affirmations, have one for just your shadow book, get everything negative out. So I journaled in my shadow book, got everything negative out of my mind. And then I go back to Ninja and I write out all of my affirmations and things I want to manifest. So I am healthy. I am strong. I am capable. I am resilient. You have to convince your mind that you are there, and it's visualization. And every day I think that's what's getting me through, is having these little disciplines or routines even that I know that I can always rely on, because they're going to make music. Like if I'm sad, I put on something or angry, I listen to something angry. Like I'll put on some Slipknot or Machine Gun Kelly and cry for a minute. And then I'll put on Lil Wayne and get jazzed up and say $100 million, I'm going to go sell a house. Like I've got my go-tos that get through anything. And I think that's, you have to be there for yourself. And that's the biggest thing that's gotten me through, is having these little things that are just for me and that will never go away because they're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to rely on anyone.
Well, I tell you what, just in that bit of time that you were talking, you dropped so many nuggets. So if you are listening or you're viewing this right now, go back on that last 13 minutes or so right there, because I'm telling you, she gave you the blueprint for getting through struggle and getting through pain and getting through challenges. And
I'll listen to myself the last 13 minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have to be able to do that. And, one of the things that you said, we talked about, the connecting of the dots. Steve Jobs has a quote where he talks about, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. but you must trust that they will connect in the future. And that's what
Oh,
you're
I just got chills. I've never heard that, and I love it
yeah.
so much.
I'll send you that quote. He did that at a Stanford commencement
Oh, that's
speech.
beautiful.
But I live by that, because when I'm going through the struggle, it's the trusting and believing that this moment is for a reason. I don't know what it is, but I gotta trust that in the future it will connect. Yeah.
Barry, I can't tell you like how many moments I have that like that. I'm like, sometimes, you know, I just spent 3 weeks in the hospital getting plasma infusions, which honestly, I'm so grateful that modern medicine can do that. But you have those moments where it's like, can I really be in this much pain right now? Like, is this real? Am I in this much pain right now?
Yeah.
Like, why? What is the why? And I keep coming back to, I don't know yet, but I know that there's something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm experiencing this hardship for a reason, and I need to keep going, and I need to stay engaged and be my own biggest advocate. But that gives me the chill, like that, because, you know, we don't know why you go through something hard. You don't know why.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have the perspective of, oh, you know, everything's just peachy. You know, it'll make sense one day. It's hard to have that. But I think if we can look and say there's a bigger picture, there's a bigger meaning to all of this, it makes you more resilient. It makes you have perspective. It makes you realize that your story can be helping someone else and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that keeps me motivated 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, that kind of leads me, we'll start kind of closing it out here, but
we can talk for days. So
But that, and it just comes through. It comes through on your social media. It comes through when just talking to you that, yeah, you got this going on, but it's not stopping you. It's not slowing you down. It comes through when you're you know, you have this going on for the last 4 years. These last 2.5 years have been really challenging, but yet and still you're in the top 1% in Colorado, top 15% in the country. And it, you know, and you say, you know, I don't know how that's, well, but it's just through you being you and you doing what you've just been trained to do, pushing through the pain and persevering through it anyway. And taking care of yourself through the process also. You know, I was just on another call before we got on where I was talking about some things that I was experiencing when I was writing my book and doing the book launch and had all these different things going on, and started experiencing panic attacks and realized that I wasn't taking care of myself because I had a mindset of, you know, it's hustle, grind, 24/7. And I wasn't taking care of me. And my body said, hey, wait a minute. Let me show you what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm a huge advocate. Like, you know, I think there's a difference between pushing through things and just going, which is, you know, it's good to have that drive, but without the balance of self-care mentally and physically, it's nothing. So for me, like, I'm a huge supporter of finding a therapist. You know, I have a chronic pain psychiatrist. I have a therapist I go to. I go to my trainer, even if it means that I'm just going to move, you know, stretch my body that day because I don't have anything left. But it's like, you have to take care of you before anything else. And when you take care of yourself, it enables you to keep doing incredible things. And I think that's what's hard with chronic illness. And, you know, it can be a very lonely, isolating experience because I think unless you have been close to someone with chronic illness or gone through it yourself, it's hard to understand. So I think my biggest thing to anyone listening, if you know someone that has chronic illness or you're experiencing it yourself, you know, find the people that care and lean on them and don't worry about the rest, because friends that you thought were your friends they'll disappear. And that's okay, because it's making room for the people that should be there. But also don't be afraid of, asking for help through therapy or through through psychiatry, whatever it may be. Like, asking for help is not something to be ashamed of. And don't let anyone tell you that you need to go to bed rest and not do anything unless it's your doctor. Listen to your doctor.
Yeah.
But you can still accomplish anything. Like, you can still accomplish huge things. Like, I surprise myself all the time. I'm like, I made top 1% this year, and I'm like, dying? Okay, cool. I can do anything. And I always say, like, I'm going to be Wonder Woman at the end of this. Like, I can do this now. But, reach out to people that that are struggling with any type of illness. Give them lots of love. And if you're experiencing illness, just know that you can accomplish anything you want. And even though we don't know the why, we don't know how the dots are going to connect, the dots are going to connect one day, and we just have to trust that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a struggle in life.
Yeah. Athena, I just want to thank you so much. I mean, again, more nuggets right there. That was a mic drop right there at the end of it. I definitely really appreciate you sharing this, because, again, like I said, you're such an inspiration to me. You are a champion. You are a warrior. You are greatness ignited. All right. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Barry. You've always been one of my heroes, and let's continue to kick butt together. And thank you.
Absolutely.
Seriously, thank you for the honor of being here. I'm truly forever grateful.
All right. And to our viewers, once again, you've heard it from Athena Brownson, an inspirational story that you should listen to over and over again when you're going through the struggle. And always remember, the struggle is real, but so is your greatness.
Ignite your greatness, take a leap of faith and you'll make it. Wanna live life to the fullest, you gotta be hardworking and patient. You got the fire within you, you got a dream that you should be chasing. Pushing through to the finish line, and you got no time to be wasting. Yeah, ignite your greatness, take a leap of faith and you'll make it.